Nurse Lizzie.
Writer Lizzie.
Writer Lizzie, you look so cute in your red t-shirt. Tell me about it.
Oh, well, I think we're going to be talking about someone mostly, right? Like, and so a picture of him. I have a t-shirt of him on a picture of him on my t-shirt.
You do?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
we are gathered here today to discuss the vile nature of men. And this is the thing I want to just say. We like men. We love men. This is just, but we have some advice. We have some takes on some things, and we just have some shit to say, and we're going to say it. But I want to just first introduce Liz Montgomery to everybody. She has been on the podcast before, but she is my childhood friend. I've known her my whole life. We were brownies, I believe, together. I have pictures of us together at my 12th birthday party.
spot on my head. That's how far back we go. That's like a medical joke that most people probably won't get. Sorry.
So we have been friends since we're kids, and then have grown up together, and we're both childless, 40 somethings at this point, and kind of happily so. And and Liz and I are both unmarried. I am currently in a committed relationship, although it is touch and go, girl. I love the shit out of him, but we've been in quarantine, and that will challenge. I mean, seriously, that would challenge Mary and Joseph. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that after this. But the reason that we're together is because I wanted to talk to you, and I think that you have a unique perspective, and possibly some funny anecdotes of your own about Chris D'Elia, the comedian and actor. And he's from Montclair. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Which is now, it's all coming together now, isn't it?
I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize in advance. I gotta drink my water.
Oh, that's okay. So Liz and I are from Sparta. Chris D'Elia, if you're watching, we're from Sparta. So obviously, Montclair is not as cool as Sparta, but it's really not your fault.
You wouldn't know us because we're too old.
No, he's not that. He's our age.
Right, but he wouldn't know us because we're too old for him.
Is the camera on? He's our age.
Right, but I'm saying he wouldn't know us if we're his age because he only goes, the other way.
Well, that's true. And so this is what we've got to talk about. So let me Chris D'Elia has been in the news, and much like many of these guys, whether they are comedians or musicians or actors. But what's funny is that musicians are not getting in as much trouble. And I think it's because people expect it from musicians. I don't think it's such a shock. I think there's like this clutch your pearls moment when like you find out that like a comedian who seriously looks like a mangy coyote is like hitting girls up after shows and being like, yo, I'm in Seattle, come blow me. Like,
he doesn't even like invite them to the show.
He doesn't even invite them to the show.
Like that's just classic. Like you have to invite them to the show.
But here's like the first thing that comes out of my mouth about this. Obviously he's doing that, right? Obviously he's doing that. Obviously he did that the whole time. What'd you do? Did you hit something?
I have a dog. I'm sorry, I'm at home.
Oh yeah, I hear. Hi, Hux. Obviously he was doing that, and this is not a shock. But what I think is so funny is that there's this sort of debate about the fact that these girls were young. Right. So I think people may be a little bit surprised on my take on this, right? There's no excuse for taking advantage of a young girl. I have been that young girl. I have been that young girl that's probably too pretty for 15. Probably my boobs were probably too big to be near 23, 31, 40-year-old men. And certainly was flirted with, certainly was come on to, and probably at that age in particular, I mean, I could speak from experience, absolutely had no idea that they were hitting on me. I was kind of naive, right? But you and I came up in a different time. So now the thing, and it's always been a dissociative pathological thing that men want to do when they just want to get laid. This is not new either. But what's new is the technology aspect of this whole thing, that you can just pretty much hide behind your phone and connect with a girl and pretty much right away be like, send me a pic.
You can do anything you want.
And that somehow this is, and that you could say what you want, and that you could sort of hit up who you want, or you like see somebody's photo on Facebook and you could just be like, hi. You know, when we were, and this happened to you, and this is why we're going to talk about it, not with Crystalia, but the Crystalia thing is going to segue into the rest of the conversation. But the thing about Crystalia is, you know, what kind of struck me as a little bit funny, and particularly now because he's been dropped by his agency, right? CAA, and his management company. I literally laughed out loud when I read that, because you've got to love these agencies now being like, first what they did was they put out the full text messages and the full emails to these girls, kind of in defense of him, but then also dropped him. So they were like, to all of our other artists, we are an artist-friendly company. However, we do not want to be left holding the bag when the shit hits the fan with this guy. So we're going to cover our ass in both directions. And it's just the grossest, most disgusting, most vile, like typical Hollywood make me want to vomit thing ever. And I'm, you know, not a Crystalia fan right now, but I am, but I'm defending him in this way, because I just think it's shitty that they dropped him. I think this cancel culture is so stupid, and I don't think he should have been dropped by his agency, although CAA is sleazy and fuck them. But what I was going to say is this: Mark is a fan.
Right.
Mark has been a fan, and Mark has made me listen to this guy. I listen to him all day long in my house, and I know the guy's from Jersey because I know somebody he went to high school with. And so I knew that. And so I half listened to him. And there are times he says things that are very Jersey that make me laugh, like just things that it's some of it's Jersey humor that, like, you know, just kind of makes me chuckle. Sometimes he'll say something that I literally said to Mark like the day before, and he'll look at me and be like, you just said that. I'm like, I know, we actually have a very similar like kind of way that we think. But what was funny is about 2 weeks ago, Mark and I were in the car and we're driving and we're listening to the Crystalia podcast because it's Mark's car. So this is what we're doing. And he starts talking about how he's on TikTok.
Which is for kids, isn't it? I mean, mostly.
Yes. So I look at Mark and I'm like, are you on TikTok? He goes, fuck no. I'm like, why is this guy on TikTok? I'm like, how old is he? He's like 40. I'm like, okay, what a weirdo. And then literally a week later, this thing comes out.
Oh, it was before.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, he's talking on his podcast 2 weeks ago, if you go back, about how he's on TikTok, and he's talking about some girl that he's been like kind of stalking on TikTok, who he watches her like videos, and he's kind of doing it like he's making fun of her, but now he's like posting on TikTok. And all I'm thinking to myself in the car as we're driving is, why is this like 40-year-old coyote on TikTok? I can't.
Because he's a coyote. He looks crazy. And did you know this band he called Babies?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's doing some like R. Kelly shit, I feel like.
I feel like he was probably not popular in high school.
You know what? I thought that too. Right? The kind of guy who's not going to like probably get the girl, and then they get a little bit of fame, and girls start sort of swooning over them. Listen, I'm already talking to Mark about it, because just for those of you, like, and let's just be clear, my boyfriend's younger than me. My boyfriend's a lot younger than me. He was not a teenager when we met. He was a full-grown man when we met. But he's younger than me. So it's not to say that you can't be with somebody who's like younger than you, or that's not what. But this man was 31 years old and was, I'm sorry, if you have to ask somebody how old you are.
You don't, it's like.
You don't even think about it if they're your age.
Right. You don't ask someone how old they are, because turn the other way, walk around. Like,
how old are you? Why would you say that?
You know, I was thinking about myself, and like, I mean, we've had this discussion. When I was like 14, 15, 16, I looked 9, 10, 11.
That's right.
So somehow I managed to get served at bars, like most of us did in New Jersey anyway.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
16, 17. And like, there were some guys that I was hanging out with who I won't name, but they were like definitely in their high 20s. And I remember when I turned 21, they're like, oh, wait, you're just turning 21 now? I was like, dude, you knew I used to be like, oh, I have to get up and go to school, you know?
Yeah. And I don't want to say something disgusting, but it's like, honestly, like
Oh, yeah, I
my
had no body.
my body is clearly indicating, but you can tell when a girl is young. And I just think if you're 31 years old and you're having to ask a girl how old she is, you shouldn't be texting her.
Right.
To me, it's just gross. And so what are we talking about, right? We're just talking about a guy who's kind of a creep, who, like, I'm not completely shocked by it, whose humor is really kind of going after people and making fun of them and giving them a ton of shit. And now he's on deck, man. Like, he's on deck. What I don't think so far from what I've seen is that this guy should have his career taken away from him. But I do think people vote with their dollar. It's like, he's either going to be supported or he's not. There's going to be guys who, I know that Mark is still going to listen to the guy, but I will tell you, Mark was a huge fan, and Mark is not, he's a sensitive guy, and he's a sweetheart. But if he thought it was BS, he would still listen to him. He still likes a lot of these guys that are getting into trouble right now. I don't think Mark's going to necessarily like not be this guy's fan anymore because of this, you know?
I listened to one of Chris's, I have to write the guy's name down. He's called Theo Vaughn. Do you know him? He's like
Yes. I do know Theo Vaughn.
He said, I hope Chris gets the help he needs. And Chris likes to dabble in the dark arts.
See, and he knows him.
He's friends with him.
He knows him. Okay, can I just say right now, I think Theo Vaughn is so adorable. I can't even deal.
He has like kind of like a weird mustache.
He's got like a weird vibe about him. But, I lived in Louisiana. He's from Louisiana. And, I talk all the time about how I live there. I got a thing about boys from Louisiana, a bad thing. And like, I saw him again, a lot of these guys, I didn't know who they were. And a lot of them are becoming very popular because of their podcasts. A lot of them started out on Rogan. Rogan's also in trouble at the moment. Joey Diaz isn't. I'm not worried about either of them because they don't give a shit and they're pretty much giving the finger to everybody. And Joe Rogan owns the world. So, no one's worried about it. And I happen to be a fan of Joe Rogan. So, whatever. I know I know at times in his life he has said some things perhaps that he's not proud of, and I know that he has allowed people to say things that maybe he didn't agree with and he didn't really say anything about. I also know he has daughters now, and I think that probably will change a man's perspective in a certain kind of way. And he's had a lot of, I think, spiritual experiences, and he's tripped, balls and like kind of opened up his mind. And Joe Rogan, he talks about it all the time. I just think he's a different guy, That Joe Diaz gives me the fucking heebie-jeebies, but like whatever. He reminds me of my Uncle Vinny. He's like exactly, not that Uncle Vinny was a bad guy, but he's got the same accent, the same kind of, I grew up around guys like that. My dad was a guy like that. So like, it's not so foreign to me, that kind of a guy. My dad was a total misogynist. My father was a complete womanizer. He was like, seriously, my father was so bad they had to take him out of his office and make him work from home because he was harassing them. My father.
See, back then they were just like, you need to go.
They didn't fire, but like, you're gonna have to work from home.
He's like, can I watch people on video? Oh, that didn't exist back then.
No, he's like, you mean but then I can't grab everybody's breasts. Yeah, my dad.
No, I watched also this thing about how we were talking about Chris is I was watching one of his podcasts and he was like, I'm a lonely guy. He was obsessed with the fact that one of his opening acts wanted to take a different flight to Toronto than he did. But Chris is like, I don't like to be alone. He's like, I admit it. I'm a lonely kind of guy. I don't like to be alone. And I'm like, that's why. It's these guys that are lonely, like internally.
Yeah.
And who probably was a loser in school, who looks like some kind of, what do you call him? He looks like a hawk or something.
He looks like
my ex-husband.
Does he?
My second one. Yeah.
I never dated anything that looks like that.
No.
I'm sorry. I just think he is like, and like, here's the problem with him. First of all, let me just say this. Chris D'Elia fans, you can leave all the comments you want. You can say whatever you want. I am not going to read it. So you might as well just like take your little tappy fingers and bring him something. I
I would
not.
love to read it and get in an argument with you later on.
Well, yeah. So you like read. Mark will read it too. Mark will think it's like the most amazing thing. I don't read the comments. I don't give a shit. I've been doing this. I've been in the entertainment business for like almost 30 years since I was a kid. I don't read the comments. I learned my lesson a long time ago. But what you were saying is that you think he was a little, and I thought this too. I thought that a lot of these guys, are uber talented, which means a lot of times in high school, they probably weren't that popular, but what they were doing is creating, and their minds were very busy, and they were very highly intellectual. I believe that,
Comedians are very smart. Very.
You listen to him speak, he talks a mile a minute, and his thought process is rapid fire. But you also know that a guy like that, I believe that he's lonely. A guy like that is definitely, he's not the jock. He's not like and who wants to be that guy anyway? Who wants to be the jock, or who wants to be, nobody cares about that either, but he's not the romantic lead. And what's funny is Whitney Cummings, right? So Whitney Cummings is,
I like her,
a fucking rock star. Like, Whitney Cummings is, first of all, I stare at Whitney Cummings' face because I got to know what she's doing. Like, she looks amazing. Gorgeous. And she's our age. Okay, totally. And I'm not even saying like being our age is a bad thing, but she's stunning, but not like she's been done. You know what I mean? Not like there's all kinds of shit happening, even if there is.
Or something originally. Maybe she spent a lot of time in the sun. She probably didn't smoke.
She probably didn't smoke. So good for her fucking not smoking, but she's a writer, she's a comedian, she's an actress, and she has a podcast now. She's a gorgeous girl. She is incredibly talented. She has had more than one hit in terms of writing television. She did the television show called Whitney. She put him on it. They were very good friends from what I could tell. But what makes me crazy about this is the fact that Whitney Cummings has it all over Crystalia in the talent department, right? But you say Whitney Cummings and people go, hang on, who?
Yeah, exactly. She's like most of the shows that we see on TV and everything.
She is a force to be reckoned with, right? But this is a comment on men versus women in the industry. This is not a comment on their talent, on their ability. So he becomes like uber famous. He becomes this, huge comedian from the show. He's done a little bit more. He's done some film. He's doing some more television. He did that series called You. And then he played a pedophile in that show called You. And a girl came out and sort of said, oh, irony, isn't that funny, And this is how this whole thing happened. But I wondered what she would say, Whitney, because I do know that she loves him. And I do know that, just based on what she said, I don't know her. She's not a friend of mine. Let's just be clear about that. And she really did come out and she was like, I'm devastated by this. Like, this is awful. Like, I'm sickened by it. And I'm proud of her. I just want to say I'm proud of her for doing that. I think it probably is not an easy thing to go against the boys club, even if you are your own woman, which she absolutely is. But she is in the middle of Hollywood. All those boys are her friends. And she didn't wait. She right away came out and just said, nope.
He also said that people always come up to him and say, oh, Hollywood's where you go when you want to fuck kids.
Really?
Yeah. He said it like a bunch of times because I was watching him earlier and he was like, yeah, Hollywood's where you go if you want to fuck kids.
I think it's interesting that Theo Von said what he said. That to me says a lot. I didn't know that.
I think that Chris projects like in his comedy what he feels inside because he's always talking about pedophiles and stuff.
Yeah, he's always talking about pedophiles. He's always talking about jerking off. He's always talking about like being on TikTok. He's always talking about things that are, yeah.
He's not a pedophile. Like if you don't want to call him a pedophile, let's say this: he's borderline pedophile.
Right, allegedly. We have to be careful. We don't.
We're turning 18 today.
Right. It's like it's exactly like how old are you? Okay, I will call you the day you turn 18. Like, it's so gross.
I got a birthday present for you.
Yeah, like at that point, you're like 31 years old. Go find a woman. And you know what you find too is that these guys are terrified of women. Yeah. They're terrified of women who are their equals, who are as smart, if not smarter than them, who know what they want, who are sexually capable, who can just keep up with him. It's too terrifying for a guy like that. A guy like that has to manipulate and control a younger woman or a dumb woman. Or listen, I was saying this too to Mark. So we were watching, remember that movie, He's Just Not That Into You? this is a little bit around the way, like how this connects, and I won't get into a long-winded thing, but I was watching that movie. I rewatched it. It was really great. Just before that, I had watched an interview with Laura Dern, who's another great actress that I love. And there were all these different actresses, and he's just not that into you. And Mark was sitting there kind of half watching it with me. And he comes in, he's like, where does Jennifer Aniston come from? And I said, oh, Jennifer Aniston's father was an actress. I was an actor on a soap opera for years and years. She's from New York City. She went to LaGuardia. Like, I know a ton of shit about her, like I do about a lot of actors. And then he looks, he's like, oh yeah, that's Drew Barrymore, right? I'm like, yep, Drew Barrymore also comes from a family of, right? So before you know it, between Laura Dern, which was the interview beforehand, Drew Barrymore, Jennifer Aniston, Scarlett Johansson, who comes from a wealthy family in New York, right? Gwyneth Paltrow. So then I start saying to myself,
right,
all of these girls are legacies. And it is something that you realize after the fact that it's very, very rare to just sort of break in the industry and not have anybody either opening doors for you or helping you financially stay in a place like New York City or Los Angeles while you're trying to break. That is something that is very difficult for all of us to do, to take acting lessons and to be able to go to auditions and to be able to pay the rents there. And it's really hard. And what the secret is that people don't realize is that a lot of these girls come from very wealthy families. In the music business, Taylor Swift, she came from a very, I'm not taking talent away from these girls, but you could have a very poor talented girl and a talented girl who's a legacy in Hollywood. And I'm going to tell you which one is going to get in movies. Right. Kate Hudson, another legacy. So
who I love.
The way that, me too. I know. She's like the best. They're all great. They're all great. They're all beautiful. Laura Dern is one of the most amazing actresses I've ever seen in my life. Thank God Laura Dern ended up in the industry. I would be bored out of my mind without Laura Dern. So no dissing to these ladies at all. My hat is off. They're beautiful and amazing and talented.
They're lucky that they have.
Extremely lucky, and I think they'd probably be the first to say it. But the reason that I'm bringing it up is to say that there are a lot of girls who move to Hollywood and then they realize, actually, I might need like a famous boyfriend, or I might need, I need to suck a dick. I need to suck. And then let's just sit on that for a second. Yeah. I need to suck a dick, and that's what I got to do. But these guys know it.
A gross dick at that. It's not going to be it's
going to be a disgusting dick.
The body attached to that dick is not.
And this is where I failed, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I probably would have.
You know that I'm not lying when I say I couldn't do it. You know me my whole life.
I know that. Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, you physically can. You chose not to.
Oh, no, I'm good at it. I just... I am. My boyfriend's very happy, but I could not put a gross dick in my mouth because he would make me famous. And I was given opportunities, believe me, many. I was very, very adorable at one time. So, and talented, do you know what I mean? And and in the scene and had it going on and was fine, I'm older now. So now it's just and I'm in love with somebody. So it's not even a thing. I don't even go to parties anymore. But there was a time that I could have, I dated very, famous people and they all grossed me out and it was gross and I hated all of it. And I just found it to be very vapid and shallow. But there's a lot of girls that go to town and sort of realize what the game is. And they go, oh, but what happens is you get a guy like Chris D'Elia or a guy like Louis C.K. and it's they know that these girls need these opportunities and they know that they can pull their dick out or say, send me a pic. And even if it's not in their mind that it's I'm going to help you in the industry, that may not even be what's in their head. These are just guys who are opportunists. Mm-hmm. They know that these girls will do it. And these girls do it because they don't think they have a choice. And then it sets up this culture in Hollywood. And I'm going to tell you something, ladies. It makes it bad for the rest of us because it makes it bad for those of us that don't want to do it. And this is what you don't fucking realize. Liz is laughing. Liz is just suck a dick. What the fuck's your problem, Cassie? You're not wrong. So, all right. So, Chris D'Elia, listen. Get the help you need. I'm with Theo Von on this. Theo Von, call me. Call me.
You're more her.
Is that how you do it? Call me. I love Louisiana. I lived there. I did an environmental project there. I tried to save Louisiana and I'm madly and whatever. What's that fucking website? It's Just Coffee.
Oh.
Yes.
What website?
No, It's Just Lunch.
What, a dating site?
Yeah, it's called It's Just Lunch. Theo Von,
coffee,
it's just lunch. It's just lunch.
No, just do lunch.
So there's a dating site called It's Just Lunch. I've never been on it, but I've heard of it.
There's coffee meets bagel. I've been on that. I've been on pretty much all of them, but right now I'm on the League, which is so arrogant.
Pee-pee meets pishy.
I'm talking to a few people and they have like really, they've all got to like Harvard Law School or,
Wow. Okay, so
I'm being like a dick.
speaking of on the line, hitting somebody up, I don't know you, but now I'm going to try to like worm my way into your consciousness.
Right.
You and I have not had a conversation. You came to see me last weekend. We hung out together, and
I think that's where I got sick. I think I got the Rona up there.
you did. Yeah, Mark and I both have it. We gave it to you. We're just giving it to everybody. We just feel like it might be fun to just pass it around. What happened? So I am going to follow your lead in terms of how much we say about this person and how much we don't. Because me, like, I'll say everything.
There's another one that's appeared since then, just so you know.
I want to know everything. So let's start. So this is where we take it out of the celebrity thing and we sort of say, excuse me, online dating is one thing, but it's another thing when somebody meets you this way and it really sets up a very strange dynamic. They text you, they meet you on Facebook, they meet you on Instagram, whatever those things are. They meet you on TikTok if you're Crystalia. And Crystalia, I don't care. Like, I'm from New Jersey, man. Like, just
call in right now.
I was just gonna say, like, Chris, listen, I will sit across from you any day of the week, bro. I'm not even almost. I had brothers from New Jersey. I'm an Italian from New Jersey, just like you. I'm not afraid, and I will bust your balls probably in every podcast, maybe for the rest of my life. So, Liz.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. You get hit up on Facebook, which is old lady Instagram,
right.
And
I mean, I get them by both. I get DMs on.
You get them everywhere, but this particular story.
Yes.
I'm going to let you tell it.
Well, so actually this has a lot to do with Chris.
Right, which is why I'm sort of like, I feel like it's relevant.
So I get a lot of Facebook requests, and most of them I don't accept unless they're like a writer or I know them from the medical industry. So this man I know from one of those places, and I didn't know him, but like we had mutual friends, and so I'm like, I accepted it. And then I'm sitting here like last week before I went to Saratoga, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember. And then I'm just eating, and I was bored, as I do get bored because I'm still just going to work, coming home, mostly. And I get this message from this man. He's like, "Hi, Liz," and I'm like, I guess I do know him personally. So I wrote back, "Hey, hey you."
Hey you.
Hey you.
Here are my tits.
Yeah. And he's like, "I like your hat," because I had a hat on in my.
I love that picture. So pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I was like, "Do I know you?" That's what I said. And he's like, "No, but you seem like he said something really nice that like got me, but it was like more mine, not like about my face or body or something." And I was like, "Oh, yes, I am that." I'm
amazing. I'm an amazing
I am super intelligent. That is
and not at all opposed to speaking to strangers on Facebook, which you and I will talk about at some point, but go ahead.
Right.
Go on.
So next thing you know, he's like, "Oh, do you want to talk?" Which I normally don't do that because
How long did it take?
Not long.
How long? I think the listeners want to know. I want to know. Inquiring minds.
Under 5 minutes. Under 5 minutes. Because like a Google search like this, like.
Oh, you got to make sure. What if like he was like, what if he was an imposter? What if he was like some?
No, I do my best. I have never been catfished. That's one thing I will say in my defense. I've done.
Well, that seems a shame. What? Anyway, that seems a shame.
I know, and like for you girls out there who have gotten catfished, I don't know what you're doing wrong, but like it never has happened to me ever.
So 5 minutes later, the two of you are on the phone.
So then he's like, "Oh, do you want a video chat?" I know.
Right away. It was like, let's video chat.
Yeah. And I was like,
All right, let's be honest. Can we just be honest though for a second?
You love busting me on this.
Oh my God, I'm busting you. I am busting you on this. This is why I'm busting you and every woman watching. Let's be honest. Part of the reason why you were willing to get on with him is because of the fact that he's he's very successful.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm doing the same thing Chris is doing.
Right. And so I'm not even trying to put you down about that. I'm just saying that this is at all.
Yeah.
At all. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, he kind of had the
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, but he also had, he's got the goods. Like, and even if it felt a little bit like wolf in sheep's clothing now in hindsight, and I don't know because we haven't spoken about it, that guy knows that he's rich and successful and, you know, not a terrible looking dude. You know what I'm saying? So that guy's probably going to do pretty well on the open market. So he knows he can like slide into your DMs and be like, oh, by the way, like I'm rich and I'm this and I'm that and want to talk. And you're probably going to be like, So anyway, I'm just like, I'm going to do this to you the whole time. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, what am I supposed to do? You know, I mean, there are guys that DM me and I don't respond.
Well, that's because, see, this is the other thing I want to talk to you about. Okay.
What?
You might be missing a really nice guy.
No, not. First of all, there aren't any.
Well, I have a nice guy. I have a nice guy.
You do have a nice guy.
I do have a nice guy. There's one, and I found him.
No, you know what? There are nice guys. My first ex-husband is really nice. He's a really nice man.
We have friends that are nice guys.
Yeah, I have friends. That was a joke. There are tons of nice guys.
There's like four. I mean, let's not overstate it. Okay.
There's like four or five.
There's like 4 or 5 nice guys. All right, go ahead.
We've both gone out with them.
And we're friends with them. I'm already getting like texted by the ones that are like, what?
Oh yeah, exactly.
I better be one of them. I was like, you are.
You are, of course you're the nice guy. Yeah, no, there's people that I don't respond to or something because like usually they're from like my hometown, our hometown.
Why do I always get like, first of all, I get so many friend requests for like all over the shit. Like I have a very small Instagram account. I don't have a big Instagram account. My Facebook account's like pretty massive and like massive for me just because I don't do the thing. But like a lot of times I'll get like a hey Cassidy and like I'll click it and because it feels creepy and you'll go to their page and it's all just like not one picture of them. It's all just like
that's scary. Yeah, that's weird.
I get a lot of those.
I started to have those and that's when I definitely now watch because I have so many friend requests like every other woman and I'm just like I only will do like I said writers or if I know them.
Mutual friend that like looks
that like I know of or I could ask about.
So then you guys get on the phone.
Yeah. And he's super smart.
And like, nice, right?
Charming, has a lot going for him. And then, I don't know.
How long did it take?
What, do video? Oh, that night?
No, though, how long did it take before you were like helping him out?
One day. But here's the thing. Here's what guys don't understand about me.
I love the shit out of you, man.
Like,
what?
This is like guys think, oh, I got her to do this. It's like, no, I got you to do that.
No. Oh, yeah. No, totally. Although, don't get it twisted. Liz, you're in control, man. I know that. It makes me laugh, though, dude. Because this is something, like, I've been trying to keep up with you, like, since we were kids. Like, I've never been able to do it. One time I was like, I'm having casual sex. And I was like, almost 40. And you were like,
you never had a one-night stand?
Like, when you talk, I was like, no.
I know. I mean, God bless you. That's good.
No, it's because my mother, she put the fear of God in me. So go ahead.
I do this because of my dad. So there's that.
That's the thing. Our parents fucked us up. Listen, that's why we love each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. So it took 24 hours for you to basically like what? To basically.
I didn't, well, you said it to help him out.
to help him out. I like it. I like that. I like I'm fixing my hair on camera, which is
I know, and you yell at me.
It's so gross, and I yelled at you for doing it last time.
And I don't have you have like lighting and stuff.
Mark's sister did my hair. She did a beautiful job. Allison. She's really good. And his mom too. She cuts hair. They're both very good. Okay. So then what happens? So you come here and visit Mark and I up Saratoga, and we have a nice time, but you're only overnight though. And so I don't know if you're hearing the work outside, but they're fixing the central air because I'm not kidding. Like it was like a revolt here. So it was bad. But so they're fixing we didn't have central air, and we had these like ridiculous units and I have a giant place and it was not working. So yeah, but I still felt bad. So it was a little bit hot in the apartment. We had the sort of a heat wave last week in upstate New York. But so Liz came and she was like,
"This is what I got going on right
You were
now."
like, I'm sprung, honey. I was like, okay. I'm like, tell me about him. And he did. He sounded really lovely. And you guys were sort of texting back and forth. And then you went home and it almost immediately, but I didn't want to talk about it because I wanted to get you on the podcast. So tell me what happened.
So this is so interesting, actually. So when I was up there, we texted a little bit, but he was like giving me my space, you know.
And it was Father's Day too, in his defense. He was with his kids. Yeah, he has grown children.
Older. He's 10 years older.
He's older. That's the other thing we should say. Yeah. And he has grown children.
Yeah. So, like I text him or something, and like, you know, when you get that answer back where you're like, you could tell in text that they're like just being nice, like responding just to be nice.
Ugh.
So I was like, whatever, dude, you know? And then he texted me later that night and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, just, you know, watching Netflix or whatever I was doing. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm in bed. I'm like,
here we go.
So I said, oh, do you want to talk? And he goes, not tonight, babe. So
we paused. So here's this fucking creep who basically hits you up.
Yeah.
You know what I thought was interesting too? He asked if you were Spanish.
Yeah.
And then you said that you weren't. You know, and I personally, and I've been saying this for years, this is like my thing. I feel like types are a fetish. I feel like if somebody has a type, it's a fetish. I'm sorry. I just do. So it's like, who knows? Maybe he thought in your photos you looked Spanish, and he's also Spanish. And so, Spanish American, but Spanish and very kind of into his.
You haven't no one's going to know who he is.
Oh, I don't give a shit. He doesn't deserve to be protected. I don't even know why you're doing it. He really doesn't. He's a pig. But we won't say his name. So he's Spanish and he likes, you know, he wanted a Spanish woman, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's like, you don't know, right? So he thinks you're Spanish. He's hitting you up and then he sort of like wants sex right away. And you sort of like oblige him because you're a grown woman and you can do what you want. And that's cool. And I love that. The thing that makes me sad about it is that even at this age, like you get your feelings hurt, man. You just feel like
it gets better.
Oh my God, please tell me more. Sorry. I need to shut up. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I thought that was it. I was like, whatever. So the next
night. So he's like, I'm in bed. Oh, not tonight. Let's not talk tonight. Right. Okay. So then you're like, ew. Okay.
I'm like, whatever. It's done before it began, you know, kind of thing. And so then I start texting other people just to like make myself feel better. And that worked. And then he calls me the next night and it was like a totally normal call, like video call, no sex, nothing. And so it went really well. But except during this, so like I think I was talking about my writing or like he asked me a question.
Yeah.
And then literally instead of responding to that, he said, so I had an ex show up this weekend.
Oh, so that's where he was.
Yes. And he's like, she messaged me and he's like, and then she stopped by the practice today, by his job today. And
an ex? Oh, you mean one of the women he was fucking while he was still married?
33 with 3 kids and her husband's in the Navy away.
Oh, so she's also married.
He's married. Yeah. She's only 33. And so he was like, yeah.
Those Southern girls, though, they have babies young and they have a lot of them.
They have a lot of them. 3. Yeah. One's 8 years old or something. So I was like, oh, was she trying to spark things back up? He's like, I think so. I'm like, I want to be like, oh, was she sucking your dick in the office? Is that why you think so?
How gross.
So gross. And then
also why because you've never done anything like that, because also no, no, it's who that would be. You would never do that. You would never do that. So of course not. Curious though. So obviously he was with her.
I don't understand why he told me. And I would assume, yeah, he was at least texting her. And like the night when he was like, oh, not tonight. He was like calling her.
Maybe. Oh, right. It was her night to help him out.
So I haven't heard from him since then. I think because I don't know. I didn't really call him out. I just go, oh, it doesn't sound kosher. And he goes, yeah, no, probably not. Like, he's not from New York or New Jersey.
No, he doesn't know what that means. Okay. Here's my thing about this, right?
He like sought me out. He's like,
he sought you out. But the other thing that I don't like, Lizzie, is that there's definitely, and I've witnessed this too. So just to like give my background too to people who like are like, who is a chick? I've never been married, but I have been in very long-term relationships, and I have lived with somebody for almost 7 years. And then before that, I lived with somebody for 5 years, not back to back. There was a couple of years off in between. I was in a rock band and was very, very busy touring. There was a time in my life where it was very successful and it was very busy. So relationships for me have always been a little bit.
You should have used that to your advantage. Sorry.
I know a lot of people said that. I didn't fuck anybody when I was in my band, by the way. I didn't do that. But later on, I started sort of dating, and like, what I did notice is that I had a little bit of an immature, I think, view of dating because I never did it. I got into my band really young and was kind of isolated because we kind of got successful very quickly, and I was kind of locked away, and I had a very torrid relationship with somebody in the band, and that's another story for another day. But
that is a good story.
It's a great story, and it's going in the book, but I will also talk about it. But then even when that wasn't happening anymore, I was still being very manipulated and sort of controlled by this person. So long story short, I was very isolated for a long time. So when I got out of my band, I was still quite young, but I hadn't dated. Like I hadn't done. So I started doing that, and my naivete put me in situations, I think, like this one, where there are these guys out there who actually use their niceness as a manipulation too. And that sucks, man. Like there's just nothing more confusing than like a guy who's going to be like sweet and romantic and call you baby and like text you and say goodnight before you go to sleep. And then do this thing with you that's like, actually, I just want like, because the thing about this guy is that Lizzie's talking about is that he was married for many, many years. And I won't talk about his personal life, but I will say that he's newly single and is probably just looking to kind of collect women at the moment and sort of have his fun and sow his oats. And that's fine too. And I don't even really have a problem with that.
I'm not going to tell you what state he lives in. We're in different states. So like, are you?
But he's like trying out the technology. He's trying out it's like gross. It's like he's doing this thing where he's just like experimenting with women. And because he's successful and because he's wealthy and because he's, quasi handsome, but because he's fine. If he was nice, he'd be more handsome. And if he was a good guy, he'd be more handsome. But he's lost, a bunch of points for me. And because and again, it ties back in, right, to this Hollywood thing where it's like everybody, there's like this, I would almost rather you not be charming. I would almost rather you not, like you be like Crystalia, where you don't invite me to the show. You hit me up at like 11 o'clock at night and you're like, hey, I'm at the hotel room. Want to come blow me? I mean, which is pretty much what he's saying.
100%.
Right?
And like, that's fine. Like, we always talk about, I prefer when guys are upfront and they act like who they are. Don't give me like Chris Rock says, like you meet people's representative when you go out with them. It's so I'm meeting this guy's representative. And like, at the end of the day, it's like, really, you just stalked me this whole time just to like, and listen, he might text me tonight. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm not saying he's done with you. Because here's the thing too. It's like, why would he be? You're beautiful, you're smart, you're successful,
Well,
you
maybe
are
the 33-year-old came in, you know?
you're interesting, you've got everything in the world going for you, and you put out.
I do.
You do put out. But listen, there's nothing wrong with putting out. All I'm saying is he might, he might try to
They put in. I don't, you know.
he might try it again. And it's not too late to win your power back with someone like this either. It really isn't.
Oh no, yeah. And like I don't feel like I've lost it because I don't really,
No, and don't misunderstand. I'm not even trying to say you've lost power. I'm just saying it's not too late.
I don't care. Honestly.
Yeah, like I know.
I already have another guy from DC who seems way more.
Oh, where'd you meet him?
On the League, it's that like annoying like app that you have to like be like professional and like only 30% of the people that apply get on or something. Something stupid.
It's
League, Ivy League. Yeah, it's exclusive, supposedly.
I wouldn't get on.
Yeah, you would.
No.
Looks and like business, so.
I'm like a Hmong girl, man. Like I've done nothing but like create art my whole life, and like
You're famous. Oh my God, you're in like our Wikipedia, notable persons.
Who's Wikipedia?
Like I just happen to be looking up Sparta.
Oh, interesting. Like a Sparta Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I have my own Wikipedia. I didn't make it, but yeah. But that's interesting. That's so nice. I'm going to be doing, by the way, if anybody's watching, I'm doing the Sparta concert series this year.
Outside? Or?
Yeah, they asked me to come do it.
Oh, that's awesome. When?
It's going to be so fun. So we're booking it. Basically, on the guy that books it, really nice man, lives in the lake. It's essentially the arts commission. What do they call it? Association, whatever, of Sparta. Yeah. They put these concerts on every summer. They had Danielle Cotton last year, and like they've had some really great artists come. And it's always been kind of bubbling around. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? But I've never been contacted by the booker. And he finally contacted me. And then of course he contacted me right before everybody went into quarantine. And it was like, we hadn't even nailed the date down yet. And I wondered, and he called me up yesterday and he said, listen, we want to do it, but we have to talk to the town because there's all kinds of stuff that they're trying to figure out, like how they're going to make it happen and with the social distancing and all that crap, but they still want to do it. And it's going to be at either the end of July or in August somewhere, but you'll see, because the way that they do it, it's like a series. They'll do it every Friday night for like 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll start at
right? Or
sorry?
You'd only do one, or
I would just do one. Yeah, I would just do one with the band. So I'm going to bring the band, and it's going to be my new band, Local Honey. I'm going to probably call it, just so people know it's me, like just so I don't confuse people. But I am going to bring Local Honey. I'm going to bring the new thing, the new project. So cute, the boys in my band, but they're all taken.
How old are you? Should I ask them?
You should, and that makes you seem filthy. It makes you seem so filthy. Send them a text. How? After you say first you say, because this is what we did. First you say send me a pic,
just like,
and then you say, wait, how old are you?
Oh, after the fact.
No, this is somebody who's gotten in trouble. There's no question. You don't do that unless you're somebody who's who's kind of towing the line. Do you know?
He's being smart about it. Do you know what I mean? Like
right, or he's done something that like he already knows may have kind of dabbled, as Theo Von says, in the dark arts, or is like kind of just tiptoeing across that line that he knows that he's going to get so busted if he like. So now it's just like, wait. Like because there's guys who will be with women who look young, but are over the line. And it's all gross. I just think it's all gross, especially with this like Jeffrey Epstein, thing that's gone on. And we don't really know what's happened with Chris.
Documentary?
Yes. Not only did I watch the documentary, that we have a place in Palm Beach. We went to his house.
That's right.
It's not my place. It's Mark's place, but his family has a place there. And we went, I probably shouldn't even be saying it. I've been home for over 2 weeks. I've been home for 3 weeks. I'm not sick. Everything's fine. Nobody was wearing masks in Florida, though. It is what they're saying. They are not taking it seriously, or they weren't when I was down there. But we have a private beach. We weren't doing the thing. We were social distancing. We were very careful because we were coming from New York, where things, not downstate New York, but upstate.
Yeah.
and our governor was so serious. I know, our hot governor, but he was so serious about it that we went to Florida. Like, we had our masks, we were doing our thing, hand sanitizer, but nobody else was doing it. And then, so it doesn't really surprise me to hear that there's, that they're having problems now. But
the highest day of COVID ever since the beginning of the whole COVID thing.
What they're doing now is they're not, thank God we went when we did, because now Cuomo's like,
Cuomo,
if you have to stay, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And a lot of these people have just started going back to work.
So banned from at work, we're banned from going to any of those states.
Yeah. So we went, and then we went to his house. So we watched the documentary while we were in Florida. First of all, Mark and I got in our car. We drove 24 hours down to the house because I had been locked in this place for 3 months, and I said, you're going to find me swinging from a beam. You're going to wake up, you're going to walk into the living room, and I'm going to be like this. And you'll be like, oh my God, how could you do this to me? I was losing my shit, man. Get me out of here. So he threw me in the car with the dog and the sun hat and my bathing suit, and we just drove down to the house, and that's where we stayed. We stayed for 2 weeks and rode bikes and went to the beach, and but we were noticing as we were driving places, public beach, because we have a private beach, but public beaches were packed, dude.
Yeah, they're crazy. They're crazy. It's not like all those people are just staying in Florida or whatever. They're traveling around.
No, I'm going to tell you, half of the people that lived, half of his neighbors were snowbirds that were just waiting to go back to New York.
Exactly.
So yeah, so it's an issue. So his parents were going to go, and they may not go now because
they should.
In order to come back, they would have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what made me say that, Florida.
Jeffrey Epstein, but I have to tell you,
I went to the house anyway. We went to the house, and it was beautiful. The neighborhood's unbelievable.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sure. I had a dream. I know you have. I had a dream about Cuomo the other night, but I don't remember it. I just remember that we were together.
I had a really vivid dream about him.
I'm jealous of your dream.
I could almost smell him. He was kissing me. I told Mark about it. I was like, all right, this was crazy.
I had a dream last night. I told my boss today because I was at work this morning. She was in it for some reason.
People are saying that everybody's having very vivid dreams right now, that it's a thing. I don't know if it's the 5G or what. I love my conspiracies, honey. Okay. But everybody's having very vivid dreams right now. I am definitely having very vivid dreams. Mark's he dreamt about an ex that he hasn't even thought about in years, that he doesn't even really care about, but he was full on with her.
It's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild.
I didn't really remember it until I was walking with her this morning, and I was like, oh my God, you were in my dream last night. And of course, only I would have a dream like this. So apparently I was saying to her something about a guy, and she goes, what? This is my dream. What? You had fun? And I'm like, no, fawn.
Fawn?
What do you mean? I'm like, he's a fawn. And she's like, are you saying he's fun? This is in my dream. I go, no, a fawn. And she's like, I don't think I know what that means. So I'm like,
I don't think I know what that means.
Flake-o-messimus.
Wait, what?
A flake of nonsense. Flake of nonsense. F-O-N.
A flake of nonsense.
A fawn. F-O-N. And she thought I was saying fun. I'm like, no, he's a fawn. But I just made up that word.
I was going to say, you made it up in your dream?
Flake of nonsense.
You are.
Oh, nonsense.
That is flake of nonsense. I like it.
Oh,
Oh, so he was Was he Irish?
No, but I am. So.
You're Irish. Yeah, you're Irish. I think you need an Irish guy. My last boyfriend was Irish. My boyfriend now is not. He's a swarthy beast.
I know. I love that.
He's super cute. Yeah, he's hot. Yeah. Hi, baby.
Tired of that one.
He's just trying to call me. I told him I'm doing this thing, and he's like, okay, cool. My phone rings the minute you and I go live, Mark. I'm like, I gotta love my boyfriend, man. He's just he's living his.
So happy. It's a little weird, you guys.
He's just a really happy person.
You come to sit down on the couch, and he's just like, hey, dogs, super happy. I'm like, oh my God. I was actually jealous of his inner being.
Yeah. I'm terrified to ruin it. I just don't want to break him. I'm afraid. I'm
I know.
You said to me that I'm super nice with him.
Yeah, you're the nicest I've ever seen you be with a man.
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah,
we're not.
because I love him. No, we're not nice. No, we are. I'm nice.
We
I am.
are.
I'm
We
a
are.
yogi. I'm nice. I
No,
just,
I'm totally nice.
but I have emotional baggage from an
No.
absolutely traumatizing childhood. And
Yeah, we both do.
we both do. So it's like, I'm good, you know, therapy, whatever, all those things. And I talk about it, and I'm not ashamed of it. It is what it is. But certainly this is the first relationship that I'm in where I feel like, oh, okay, I get what I have to do now.
Like you have to literally pause before you say anything or do anything.
We talked about it. We talked about it ad nauseum. I was like, I have to literally at times just be like, wake up in the morning and be like, and I can hear him. Because it's like he can smell when I'm awake. And he comes,
Oh,
I can hear him running down to come say good morning to me and like pounce on the bed, like him and my dog, the two of
you're the
them.
dog. Yeah, yeah.
He's like Tigger and the dog is the dog. And the two of them pounce on me in the morning. And I have to, as I hear his footsteps coming close to me, say, be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice, be nice.
I know that feeling. It's so people probably think that we're weird, but I mean,
We are weird, but you know what? I'm being nice. So that's progress.
it is, yeah. And like you're very mellow now,
Super chill.
you know.
I'm so much more chill and consistently so. Although I had a little bit of a crying fit this morning, but that's par for the course. Yeah, I cried because I really don't want to be. I don't want to live where I am right now, and I'm a little upset about it. And we've been locked in our house, and it's not the kind of place you want to be locked in, and it's just like, it's a beautiful apartment, but that's about it. And we moved up here, and I really like upstate New York, but the winters are really brutal, and it's my first winter here, and I just was like, what the fuck. And then
You were
and this
going like all the Shining up there, like Red Rum.
yeah, and this place is like not my dream. You know, the apartment is gorgeous, but it's like the apartment's amazing, but it's just not. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're gonna love it there." And I was like, "Oh, I am okay." It's like so I trusted people to like be like, and it was like, I'm gonna love it here. But then I realized they didn't know me.
They don't know
You know
you.
how people just say things, you know what I mean? People just say things to say things, and they don't realize that, like, you know, they actually have a responsibility to say something that's true.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah. Well, did you ask them about the place, or were they like, hey, I know this place?
No,
Maybe
well, we told them because
they don't like you.
we saw the apartment and it was so beautiful, and I thought, and then I said, well, this is where it is, because we were looking at different places, and we were going to buy. We didn't buy right away because we wanted to see, what we wanted to do, if we wanted to stay here or what. Right. So when we went back, we were like, this is where I'm not, I'm trying to parse my words here, but I was like, this is where we're going to, where we saw the apartment. They're like, oh, you're going to love it there. And I was like, really? Oh, okay. Because the apartment's really beautiful. And if you say I'm really going to love like that area, then it's like winter. How do I know? Everything's covered in snow.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I have no idea.
But like, are these people that told you you're gonna love it there? Do they do it to fuck you? They're like, hey.
I don't know anymore. I'll tell you the truth. I really don't. Like, I would be honest, like, I'm not entirely sure anymore about people's ulterior motives and why people do the things that they do. There have definitely been some things that have, like, listen, I've been living in New York City and in Hollywood for my entire adult life. And that's not good or bad. That's just a different it's just a different way of being. And right now I'm living in kind of suburbia, and that's cool too. But like, the people are different here. They just operate.
They are here too. Oh my God. I mean,
where you're in suburbia too. And it's like, we both did this thing kind of simultaneously, because you were a New York City girl always. And I was in and out of New York City, but I was in Los Angeles probably more. And there are problems with that too, but it's like, when you're used to a certain level of sophistication, and again, it makes me sound like a complete snob, but I'm just used to a certain level of sophistication. That's where I'm coming from. That's what I like. That's what I know. That's what I grew up in, and I paid for it. Nobody paid for me. Like, I worked really hard.
Here, both of us have paid our own way.
We pay our own way. We don't come from anything, and it's like, I worked really, really hard, and so did you, to have nice things and to live in nice places. And so when you come to a certain area and someone's like, you're going to love it, you think that they understand. Like, you get that I was just living in Laurel Canyon though, right?
No, they don't. It's like, if someone's like, oh, you're really going to love, I'm trying to like think of like
a restaurant or whatever.
Like a war-torn area.
Oh, right. You're going to love Kosovo.
Yeah, like
You are going to love Beirut. I mean, Beirut in summer is just, it
is.
cannot.
It's a seaside town, oasis, people, palm trees,
I'm just like,
the malls.
where am I? The malls, the gas stations, the Stewart's. Oh, wait till you try Stewart's ice cream. You are going to freak.
The little, market on the corner that sells nothing.
I know. So this is where I am, and it's temporary. I have to keep telling myself that, but so it's hard, man. I do feel a little bit like
Everything's temporary.
a rose in Harlem in a way, you know?
Yeah.
I love you, and you seem good, and you look beautiful, even if you're not feeling well. And I thank you for doing this with me. And I'm going to see you on the 4th.
Yes.
We're going to spend the 4th of July together. It's going to be super fun.
We should tape a little bit.
We should. We're going to tape a little bit. Mark is going to set off fireworks, which terrifies me.
Well, someone else was setting them off outside your house. So.
I'm sure the dogs, I know. I'm sure the dogs are going to go crazy. It'll be super fun, and we'll go swimming and we'll do something, but we'll have fun. And Nurse Lizzie, you can find her at, where can people find you?
LizMontgomeryWriter.com or Instagram, Liz Montgomery Writer, or Twitter.
Liz writes about her dating experiences, actually surviving cancer, but dating while having cancer and while recovering from cancer, and still like with the port inside of her, like going on dates.
Literally.
She is, thank God, she is clean and has been clean for a very long time.
In all the areas.
You look so beautiful, and just keep your chin up, man, because listen, it's like we're practicing.
Fun.
Yeah, we're practicing.
Yeah.
Always. I love you.
I love you,
I'll
sister.
talk to you soon.
Bye. Bye.